Hello guys, today I'm going to guide you to the best way you can answer problem questions. Problem questions can be quite problematic if you don't know what to do. Luckily, if you adopt this technique I'm about to teach you right now, they will be the easiest type of questions you will ever answer as a student. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button and do not forget to hit that like button also. This formula I'm about to teach you right now is called IRAC, I-R-A-C. IRAC is a very simple to understand formula that is used to answer problem questions. If you master the formula, trust me, you will be able to put every problem question in its place. Simply put, IRAC is an acronym for issue, rule, application, and conclusion. Understanding this rule will not only help you through your exams, it will also help you throughout your career as a lawyer, because the IRAC formula is also used by judges in delivering judgment. It is used by lawyers in writing their briefs. In fact, it is used throughout the broad sphere of legal writing. Now that you know what IRAC means, it is time to teach you how to properly use it. This is the most important part, actually using it. Okay, let's provide a simple problem question that we will break down with our formula. Mrs. Fatima is a pop musician. She heard of the wedding of her friend Mrs. Amina, who wanted to celebrate it in a big way. Mrs. Fatima was actually at the wedding and was delighted to have been called by Miss Amina to perform at the wedding. The performance was adjudged by many people at the wedding to be superb. After the performance, Miss Amina, who was highly impressed, promised to pay Mrs. Fatima a sum of 1 million naira as a reward for her performance. However, Miss Amina didn't pay this sum and Mrs. Fatima instituted an action to get the money. The question is, advise Mrs. Fatima on the chances of success or otherwise of her action. This is a typical example of a problem question, and this is how we will solve it. First is the issue. When you want to determine the issue in a problem question, you have to look for the area of conflict. The conflict is the problem. In a problem is where the interests of the parties clash and there is a disagreement. Secondly, you like to look at the rule. The rule is a section of your answer where you resort to authorities. This can be either statutory provisions or case law relevant to the issue. Authorities are very important to all law students. It is the provision of case law and statute that separates the writing of a lawyer from that of a sociologist, a political scientist, or any other field of social science. You should also try to define the legal concept that the question deals with. If the definition is something contained in statute, case law, or any other source of law, you should do well to quote it. If you don't have any authority to provide, just give a definition to the best of your understanding. Third is the application. In the application part of IRAC, you are going to relate the authorities you have used with the facts of the case. Then lastly, the conclusion. Your conclusion is the part where you give advice to the parties, the question asks you to give advice to. You can grab that from usually the last part of any given problem question. Now, using our sample question, let's make things a little bit clearer. Let's begin with the issue. The issue here is whether or not Mrs. Fatima's performance was past consideration for Miss Amina's promise. The rule here is, according to the Black Law Dictionary, 9th edition, past consideration can be defined as an act done or a promise given by a promisee before making a promise sought to be enforced. Past consideration is not considered for the new promise because it has not been given in exchange for this promise. Then you can also supply an authority. Let's say, in the case of Oba of Benin versus Benin Divisional Council, the defendant asked the plaintiff, Oba, to use his influence to convince African Timber and Plywood Company to release some forest area to it. The Oba was able to successfully prevail on the African Timber and Plywood Company to do so. After securing this, the Oba told the council to release part of the land to him for its exclusive use. The Provisional Council agreed to do this. However, it subsequently withdrew its asset. As a result, the Oba sued them to enforce the contract. The court held that the Oba Act was not valid consideration for the Provisional Council promise because when the Oba carried out the act, he didn't do it for a promise. As a result, his consideration is passed and there is no valid contract that can be enforced. The application part. In the present scenario, Mrs. Fatima's performance, she performed before the promise of reward by Miss Amina. This is similar to Oba getting land before the promise of reward by the Benin Provisional Council in the case of Oba of Benin versus Benin Divisional Council. In this case, the court held that such act was past consideration and it makes the contract unenforceable. In the same vein, Mrs. Fatima's performance is past consideration for the promise made by Miss Amina. As a result, it is not a valid contract that can be enforced by the court. Conclusion. Your advice to Mrs. Fatima is that she should not go ahead with the suit because this consideration is past consideration, making the contract unenforceable. So there you have it, how to answer problem questions using IRAC. If you know your way, it's quite simple and straightforward. If there are areas that aren't clear to you, you can leave a comment. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends that might need it. You can easily do this with the share button on the screen. Stay safe, stay blessed, and until we meet again in our next video.